I'm 89 years old, and the worst mistake I made in my marriage didn't involve cheating or yelling or even a single fight. It was something much quieter, something so small most people wouldn't even notice it. But that one habit slowly erased the love between me and the woman I spent 54 years with. And by the time I understood it, it was too late. My name is Harold. I'm 89 years old now. My hands shake when I pour my coffee, and I need reading glasses just to check the weather on my phone. But my memory, especially the painful parts, those are still crystal clear. My wife Margaret passed away 4 years ago. We were married for 54 years. People used to look at us and say, "You two must have the perfect marriage." And in many ways, we did. We didn't scream at each other. We didn't slam doors. We didn't have those dramatic arguments you see in movies. But sometimes, the quietest marriages are the ones breaking the most. The habit that slowly destroyed my marriage was this. I stopped paying attention. Not all at once. It happened slowly, over decades. At first it seemed harmless. Margaret would tell me about her day, and I'd nod while reading the newspaper. Later it was the television. Then it was my work. Then the phone. She'd talk, and I'd say things like, "Uh-huh, that's nice, okay," but I wasn't really listening, not truly. And over time, something inside her began to fade. I remember one evening in 1987. Margaret came home from visiting our daughter. She looked excited. She said, "Harold, guess what happened today?" I was sitting in my chair watching a baseball game. Without even turning my head, I said, "What happened?" She started telling me about how our granddaughter had taken her first steps. I remember hearing the words, but I didn't look up, not once. At the end of the story, she said quietly, "You didn't even look at me." I laughed and said something stupid like, "I'm listening, aren't I?" But here's the truth I learned far too late. Listening without attention isn't love. It's just noise. Love rarely disappears with explosions. It fades through neglect, through 1,000 tiny moments when someone needed you, and you weren't really there. Margaret never screamed at me. She never accused me. She just slowly stopped sharing things. And when someone stops sharing their world with you, that's when the distance begins. By the time we were in our 60s, something had changed. Our house was quiet, too quiet. We'd sit in the living room for hours. No arguments, no tension, just silence. At the time, I thought, this is what a peaceful marriage looks like. But peace and disconnection can look very similar. One night, Margaret said something I'll never forget. She looked at me and said softly, "You know, I used to tell you everything." I didn't know how to respond, so I said nothing. And that silence said everything. It wasn't until my 70s that the truth finally hit me. One afternoon, Margaret was sitting at the kitchen table. She was looking through old photo albums, pictures of us when we were young, camping trips, birthdays, Christmas mornings. She held one picture and said, "You used to look at me differently back then." I asked what she meant. She smiled gently and said, "Like I mattered." That sentence still echoes in my mind today. If you're watching this and you're over 50, let me tell you something I wish someone had told me earlier. Love isn't maintained through big romantic gestures. It's protected through attention, through eye contact, through putting down the phone, through turning towards someone when they speak. The small moments, Those are the ones that decide the future of your relationship. Not the anniversaries, not the vacations, the Tuesday afternoon conversations. When Margaret got sick, things changed. Suddenly, the time I thought we had forever became very short. In the hospital, she talked more than she had in years. And for the first time in decades, I listened, really listened. Every word, every story, every memory. But the cruel truth about life is this. Sometimes we learn the lesson right before the opportunity disappears. I'm 89 years old now. I sit in the same living room chair. The house is quiet again. But this time, it's a different kind of quiet. The kind that reminds you of everything you should have done differently. If there's someone in your life who still talks to you, who still shares their stories, who still looks at you hoping you'll listen, please, look at them. Put the phone down. Turn off the television. Give them the one thing most people are starving for today, your full attention. Because one day, their voice will be gone, and silence is a very heavy thing to live with. So let me ask you something honestly. When the people you love talk to you, are you truly listening or just waiting for them to finish?